I wanted to give a brief introduction to the video you're about to watch. A little over a week ago, I was allowed to speak for a few minutes at the Pottawatomie County Republican Party Central Committee meeting. They gave me this time to speak because, frankly, I think I've done enough to help the party out during the last year to deserve a few minutes to explain myself. Back in January, I attempted to get on the primary ballot for the Republican Congressional District to be a candidate in the Republican primary. In order to do that, you have to get nearly 2,000, actually 1867 signatures in the middle of winter. This I was not able to do. I went door knocking multiple times, but in the middle of winter, no one wants to open their door. No one really wants to talk about politics that time of year, except for the party people. I'm doing this to make sure that no one else's family ends up in a book about the next World War. There's people in this party and the other party that they want to talk about war. They want to get us involved in more countries. And my grandfather almost lost his life in World War II. He was a prisoner of the Japanese for nearly 3.5 years, and I recently found a book that contains a photo of my grandfather at his moment of surrender. I'll do a close-up later on, but this is my grandfather right here. He was starved, beaten, tortured, dehydrated, transported in a hell ship to Japan. He lived a hellish nightmare here on Earth, and he came back home to raise a family and to live a good life. But I'm afraid if we have another war, there will not be people that come back from it. And there may not be even books after the next war. So here's a newspaper article from 1991, I believe, August 28, 1991, in the Daily Nonpareil, where it talks about my grandfather's experience. So everything I'm telling you here is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And this will be posted on my campaign site. People really didn't care about who I was until I started coming to the meetings and until I put on the Liberty hat. And now I've got people that are angry and upset with me for trying to get on the ballot for Congress. Well, let me allay your fears just a little bit here, and I'm going to read a prayer that was written by General MacArthur, who was my grandfather's commanding general. And forgive me for putting on my glasses, but I'm approaching middle age if I'm not there already. And the name of this prayer is Build Me a Son. And this is who I aspire to be. I'm not saying that I'm this man, but I have done everything in my life to try to be this person. Build me a son, O Lord, who will be strong enough to know when he is weak, and brave enough to face himself when he is afraid. One who will be proud and unbending in honest defeat, and humble and gentle in victory. Build me a son whose wishes will not take the place of deeds, a son who will know thee, and that to know himself is the foundation stone of knowledge. Lead him, I pray, not in the path of ease and comfort, but under the stress and spur of difficulties and challenge. Here let him learn to stand up in the storm. Here let him learn compassion for those who fail. Build me a son whose heart will be clear, whose goal will be high, a son who will master himself before he seeks to master other men, one who will reach into the future yet never forget the past. And after all these things are his, add, I pray, enough of a sense of humor so that he may always be serious, yet never take himself too seriously. Give him humility so that he may always remember the simplicity of true greatness, the open mind of true wisdom, and the meekness of true strength. Then I, his father, will dare to whisper, I have not lived in vain. And I'm going to give you, this isn't a prayer, but this is written by Vince Lombardi, and this is from my scrapbook from high school. In 1990, during my senior year, I marched in the Veterans Parade holding a section of the American flag. And my mom put this together for me, and I'm so thankful she did this, and I love her with all of my heart. And it says, Vince Lombardi wrote, "Leaders are made, they are not born. And they are made just like anything else has ever been made in this country, by hard effort. And that's the price that we all have to pay to achieve that goal, or any goal. And despite of what we say about being born equal, none of us really are born equal, but rather unequal. And yet the talented are no more responsible for their birthright than the underprivileged. And the measure of each should be what each does in a specific situation. It is becoming increasingly difficult to be tolerant of a society who has sympathy only for the misfits, only for the maladjusted, only for the criminal, and only for the loser. Have sympathy for them, help them. But I think it's also a time for all of us to stand up and to cheer for the doer, the achiever, one who recognizes a problem and does something about it, one who looks at something extra to do for his country, the winner, the leader." On my campaign site, when I get it finished here, I will be posting my college grades. I will be posting old term papers. And I do this not to challenge the other candidates, but just to merely let people know that I feel that I am qualified to represent this district in Congress. For my first 2 years, I attended Iowa Western Community College. So here's my transcript. And my cumulative GPA was 3.794. 3.794. So I transferred after my 2 years, after earning my associates, to Bellevue University in Bellevue, Nebraska. And after my last 2 years of college, my cumulative grade point average was 3.765. 3.765. I will make it known I didn't do much dating in college because I was focused on the task at hand, which was obtaining my degree and my education. And I attended law school at Creighton University, and my grades weren't as good as they were in undergrad. I graduated with a straight C average, and this will also be on my webpage. And here is my law degree. I carry this around with me as I also carry my grades. So anyone that's signing my papers can look at my college achievements. They can see that I actually did earn a doctorate in law, and I am who I say I am. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and what you'll see next is the video where I explain a little bit more about my campaign, and it's probably the last time I will ever attend a Republican Party meeting here in Council Bluffs. Thank you.
New business. There are some concerns recently, and I had some emails from a couple of you who had a little concerns with Bryan Holder, recent actions. So rather than me trying to explain anything, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion real quick. Bryan, I'm going to ask you to come up and
sure.
Explain yourself, if you would, and explain what this all means.
Sure, exactly.
Okay.
A little over, and this is only going to my camera, so a little over a year ago, I started coming to the meetings because I found that in the last 20 years of voting just for Republican candidates, I haven't gotten any more free, and our liberties are still under assault, and there's certain issues that the party, people can't talk about it, maybe because of their station in life, because of their socioeconomic background. I come from very humble beginnings, poor, hardworking people, and my grandfather was one of them, and it just, it tears me apart because I remember 2 years ago, my grandpa was dying, and I was taking care of him because I left my job at the railroad, and my grandma and grandpa were lifelong Democrats, and they'd show up, and I'd been up all night with my grandfather talking to him about his life, and he told me stuff that no one should really hear because it's private conversations, but the government was listening in, or could have been, and I have a serious problem with that. And then also the networks, they get us all stirred up against each other, and Grandma would show up about 7 in the morning after I'd been up all night, and she'd turn on Rachel Maddow. And so I get to hear MSNBC in the morning, you know, and then the media gave us the hope that possibly Romney would win the election, and then it didn't turn out that way. And I felt so betrayed by the entire political process. And so for the last year and a half, I've been studying politics, studying history, and I found that there's a constitutional defect that's never been remedied. The very first amendment to the Constitution would have limited a congressional district to 50,000 people. 50,000. We have a district of 760,000 people, and that's way too much responsibility to lay on one person's shoulders. I feel sorry for Congressman Latham because, you know, he comes to the town hall meetings and we beat him up, and he's doing the best that he could. You know, he's doing the best he has during the past 20 years. And I, you know, personally questioned him about the NSA and stuff like that, and it didn't make me feel good. I've always been the guy in the back of the room that's content just to be quiet and sort of observe things. And so after that moment, I met Joe Grandinet, and Joe really inspired me to do this independent campaign. Just be able to speak about certain issues that the party can't talk about, but I'm going to do everything I can to help David get elected. And if he's elected, I'm going to go to Washington, D.C., and I'll meet with him every day. And I'll film it, I'll put it on the internet, people can know what's going on, and we can hopefully get our government back, because it's going to a very bad place. If the thing could all come crashing down tomorrow. The economy could collapse, our dollar could be worthless, we could be fighting in the streets over scraps, and no one wants to talk about this. And it breaks my heart. I hate to see this. If I meet another retiree that's purchased an AR-15 to defend their family when the grid goes down, it's just so sad. So I'm going to be campaigning. I don't want anyone to vote for me. I just want to vote for myself in November. I don't want people saying that I'm the one who swayed the election. You know, I talked to William Petrosky a couple weeks ago, and he, you know, called me a liberty fringe candidate. I'm just an American. I just want to be free. And that's what this is about. And I see us, we're going towards war. They're trying to get us into more countries, stir up more stuff. We need to have a sit down and have that civil conversation before we have civil disobedience, civil unrest, and civil war. So please don't vote for me. I just want to get on the ballot. I'm going around getting signatures the next few days. As soon as I get them, I'm taking them overland on my bike and walking to Des Moines, because someone has to show that it's not about money and power, that it's about service to everyone. So thank you for the time. I'm sorry if I went over. So thank you.